Okay, well, welcome everyone to another EFT Business Spotlight, where we highlight some amazing EFT practitioners from around the world. And today we're talking to Karin Goldgruber. Karin is a coach and an EFT certified practitioner, and she specializes in working with highly sensitive women who really experience stress and difficulties in their relationships. And as a result, or as some, in a very particular way, as being HSP or highly sensitive women. Mm-hmm. And so she helps them to create a deeper relationship with themselves and their partners. And she herself is a highly sensitive person, and EFT really helped her in her journey to be comfortable in her own skin and not be too emotionally paralyzed to do what she wants to do in the world. And she was born in Austria, but now lives in Canada. And so she does sessions in German as well as in English.
Wonderful.
So welcome, Karin.
Thanks for having me. It's nice to be here.
All right. So there's always a really good origin story of how people found EFT. And so we're curious, how did you find it?
Yeah.
Well, I was always interested in ways of reducing stress, and I can't honestly tell you how I found EFT. I just know that I started tapping, and after a couple weeks of tapping, I suddenly noticed that I stopped biting my fingernails, which I had done since I was 7 years old, and I had tried everything to stop it. And this was all the proof that I needed that tapping worked.
Excellent. And how long ago was that?
7 years.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
And never gone back to biting your nails?
Okay. So you live, I want to know a little bit more about your practice now. So you work with highly sensitive people. Your practice, your home practice, or your physical location is where?
It's in North Bay, Ontario, Canada.
Ontario. Okay, great. And do you work with people that are local? Do you also work with people online like we're doing right now?
I work with people local and mostly online on Zoom. Yeah. And even like during our long winters, I work with local people on Zoom.
Oh, yeah. I don't blame them. Yeah.
No. I'd like to hear a little bit about your niche. So some people have heard of the term HSP or highly sensitive people, but some people haven't. So could you tell us a little bit more about that and how you ended up working with this kind of specialty niche, focus?
Okay, so highly sensitive person, the scientific term for it is sensory processing sensitivity, which means as an HSP, we experience the world through all our senses, sight, sound, smell, taste, much stronger than everybody else. We also process it much deeper. There's a depth of processing which leads to overstimulation, and then many times leads to overwhelm. And what I found is that EFT is really cool with bringing that constant overwhelm, that overstimulation down, reducing stress, and creating some pockets of peace and quiet where you're not stressed. And just realizing that it's not normal to be stressed all the time, that's amazing for an HSP.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And so I know that there's plenty of information about HSPs, but there's very little about the particular area that you decided to focus on, which was around relationships. So can you tell me what are some of the common problems that you see with women in your practice and maybe with yourself when it comes to the arena of how it affects you in relationship?
As an HSP woman, what I noticed that I would experience things very strongly, and we process everything very deeply. And many of my clients and myself, we speak about our problems and process them through speaking, which can be really hard for a partner, because then it's like, what's the problem? You're talking about so many variations of the problem. You're looking at this, and it's just overwhelming. So this comes across sometimes like you're whining and complaining all the time, and you're just seeing problems while you're just really trying to process all the information that's coming in.
And so does that lead to more arguments potentially with romantic partners? I mean, how does that play out?
You know how it plays out many times when you're so overstimulated and overwhelmed that it's sometimes just too much, and then you overreact.
Mm.
So you're calm for a while, and then you suppress all your feelings, because as HSPs, we have learned to suppress and ignore our feelings, because very early on, we realized we were too much, too sensitive, too emotional for everyone. So we try to keep it down and down and down, and until one last drop, and so it's quite interesting.
Yes.
So where does EFT come in then? Are you using it on your partner, using it on yourself, or using like where does the EFT, where's the tapping come in here?
I tried that with my partner. I'll start with myself. Actually, I use EFT on a regular basis, actually daily, to reduce stress and overwhelm as I notice it. It's such a gentle self-help tool to lower stress and to become more focused and calmer. And when I change, then everything around me changes. It's really nice.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. And I just love it because as you were talking and describing and defining it, I think I know a couple that I may refer you to. Yeah, because it's the way you describe it, I hadn't quite heard it in that way, and it makes sense that you would want to keep yourself regulated instead of being overwhelmed and then just react. So I'm sure part of your process is to teach all your clients how to do the self-tapping as well.
That's actually the first step to reduce stress. And as you reduce the stress, like I said, you create pockets of peace and quiet where you're calm, where your brain can actually really work well, and where you notice that how you sometimes isolated yourself or didn't do things because you were afraid of being overwhelmed and overstimulated.
Yes.
So how has using EFT been effective for you? How has it changed how you interact in a relationship as a result of tapping, being a highly sensitive person?
As I started to take care of my feelings, I noticed that I blame less. I'm taking more responsibility for my own feelings. And many times, instead of talking about the problem before I start tapping, and most of the time now I resolve the feelings that are around the problem, and then there's nothing to talk about it anymore. It's really nice. So
I bet you're not the only one that appreciates that. That's great.
I talk much less now.
Well, that's wonderful. So, Karin, how can someone find out about you and see your material, website? I know you also have a Facebook group, so tell us about how people can reach you.
So my website is karingoldgruber.com, and I'm also on Facebook as Soul Connections for Highly Sensitive People.
Excellent. Well, I thank you so much, and the work that you do is so important in the world. So thank you, and best of luck in Ontario, winding down the winter there.
Thanks, Alina. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you for joining us.